The discovery. In the far reaches of the galaxy, a lone human explorer named Liam navigated his small spacecraft through an uncharted star system. His mission was to search for resources and potential allies in the ongoing war against the oppressive alien empire known as the Dominion. As he scanned the planets orbiting a distant star, his sensors picked up a faint distress signal emanating from a small, desolate world. Intrigued, Liam landed his ship on the rocky surface near the signal's origin. The planet was barren and lifeless, with jagged peaks and deep canyons stretching out to the horizon. As he approached the source of the signal, he spotted the wreckage of an alien spacecraft half buried in the dirt. The ship was unlike anything Liam had ever seen before, sleek and angular, with strange glowing symbols etched into its hull. As he cautiously made his way inside, he discovered that most of the ship's systems were still operational, powered by an eerie blue light pulsing from the heart of the vessel. In the center of the ship, Liam found a large chamber filled with advanced technology he couldn't begin to understand. And there, suspended in a glowing force field, was a young alien girl. She appeared to be unconscious, her delicate features framed by long, silvery hair that floated around her like a halo. As Liam approached the force field, the girl's eyes suddenly snapped open, large, luminous orbs filled with an otherworldly intelligence. She spoke directly into his mind, her voice filled with pain and desperation. "Please," she implored him. "Help me." Liam learned that the girl's name was Zara and she belonged to an ancient alien race called the Etherians. Her species possessed the unique ability to generate immense amounts of energy from their bodies, but at great cost. The process caused them incredible pain and suffering, effectively turning them into living batteries. The Dominion had learned of the Etherians' power and hunted them to near extinction, enslaving those they captured and using them to power their ships and weapons. Zara was one of the few remaining Etherians in the galaxy and had been taken captive by a Dominion scouting party before their ship crashed on this desolate world. Now she was trapped, her energy being drained to power the ship's distress beacon in the hopes of luring more Dominion forces to her location. She begged Liam to free her from this tortured existence, to save her from being used as a living weapon in the Dominion's war of conquest. Liam knew he couldn't leave Zara to such a cruel fate. Using his ship's cutting tools, he carefully disabled the force field generator keeping her contained. As the field flickered and died, Zara collapsed into his arms, weak and trembling from her long ordeal. "Thank you," she whispered as Liam carried her back to his ship. "You have no idea what you've saved me from." But even as they blasted away from that barren world, Liam knew their troubles were far from over. By freeing Zara, he had not only put himself in the crosshairs of the Dominion's wrath but also stumbled upon a secret that could change the course of the war, and the fate of the entire galaxy. As they hurtled through the stars, Liam vowed to protect Zara and uncover the truth behind her species' enslavement, no matter the cost. Little did he know that their desperate escape was only the beginning of an epic journey that would test the limits of their courage, resilience, and humanity itself. The pursuit. As Liam's ship raced through the void of space, he knew it was only a matter of time before the Dominion came after them. Zara sat huddled in the co-pilot's seat, her luminous eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. "They won't stop hunting me," she said softly. "The Dominion will tear apart the galaxy to get me back." Liam gripped the ship's controls tightly, his jaw set with determination. "I won't let that happen," he promised. "We'll find a way to keep you safe." But even as he spoke those words, the ship's sensors lit up with a proximity alert. A massive Dominion battlecruiser had just dropped out of hyperspace behind them, its weapons already powering up. At the helm of the enemy ship stood Captain Vortex, a ruthless alien commander known for his relentless pursuit of the Dominion's enemies. He had been tracking Liam and Zara ever since they fled the crashed scout ship, using the Etherian girl's energy signature like a beacon. "Surrender the Etherian, human," Vortex's voice crackled over the comm channel. "You have no idea the power you're meddling with." Liam ignored the demand and pushed his ship's engines to their limits, desperately trying to evade the battlecruiser's pursuit. They ducked and weaved through asteroid fields and nebulae, using every trick Liam knew to throw off their pursuers. During their frantic flight, Liam and Zara began to form an unlikely bond, two lost souls from different worlds brought together by fate and circumstance. In the brief moments of calm between evasive maneuvers, they shared stories of their pasts and dreams for a future free from the Dominion's tyranny. But even Liam's piloting skills couldn't keep them ahead of Vortex forever. With their fuel running low and their options dwindling, they made a desperate gamble, seeking help from Arya, a notorious alien hacker who had crossed paths with Liam before. Arya was as brilliant as she was unpredictable, a master codebreaker who sold her skills to the highest bidder regardless of allegiance. When Liam and Zara tracked her down on a seedy space station at the edge of Dominion space, she agreed to help them disappear, for a price. "The Ethereum's energy signature is like nothing I've ever seen," Arya said as she worked feverishly at her console aboard Liam's ship. "If I can find a way to mask it, the Dominion will never be able to track you again." But before Arya could complete her work, all hell broke loose outside. Captain Vortex had finally caught up with them. A squad of heavily armed Dominion troopers stormed the space station, determined to capture Zara at any cost. Liam, Zara, and Arya found themselves cornered in a cramped maintenance corridor, outnumbered and outgunned. As the troopers closed in, Zara turned to Liam with a look of grim determination on her face. "I can't let them take me alive," she said as an eerie blue light began to pulse beneath her skin. "But I won't let them hurt anyone else because of me." Before Liam could stop her, Zara stepped out into the open, hands raised in surrender as she stared down the barrels of a dozen plasma rifles. The standoff seemed poised on a knife's edge, ready to erupt into violence at any moment. But in that tense, fraught silence, something unexpected happened. Arya emerged from the shadows behind the troopers, a fierce grin on her face as lines of alien code scrolled across her ocular implants. "You boys picked the wrong day to mess with us," she purred as every weapon in the troopers' hands suddenly went dead, rendered useless by her hack. In the confusion, Liam sprang into action, disarming the bewildered soldiers with a flurry of precision strikes. The path to their ship was clear, but as they sprinted up the boarding ramp, Arya hung back, her eyes locked on Zara with an unsettling intensity. "You have no idea what you're capable of, do you?" she murmured. "The secrets locked away in your genetic code could change everything. And I intend to uncover them all." As the airlock hissed shut behind them and the ship blasted into warp speed, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that their narrow escape was only the beginning, that Zara's power had drawn them into a web of intrigue and betrayal from which there might be no escape. The Dominion was still out there, Vortex's battlecruiser dogging their every move. And now Arya's cryptic words hinted at a hidden agenda that could prove even more dangerous than the might of an alien empire. But as Liam looked over at Zara, her face etched with equal parts determination and vulnerability, he knew one thing for certain. He would protect her. No matter what horrors the galaxy had in store, or how dark the secrets of her past might be. The revelation. As Liam's ship hurtled through hyperspace, Arya worked tirelessly to unravel the secrets hidden within Zara's genetic code. The alien hacker seemed possessed by a fierce obsession, her fingers flying across holographic interfaces as she probed deeper into the Etherian girl's cellular structure. Liam watched her work with growing unease, sensing that Arya's motives were far from altruistic. He had seen the hunger in her eyes when she looked at Zara, the same covetous gaze he had seen in the eyes of Dominion officers lusting after power and conquest. His suspicions were confirmed when Arya suddenly whirled around, a triumphant grin on her face as she held up a glowing data crystal. "I've done it," she crowed. "I've unlocked the key to the Ethereum's power." Before Liam could react, Arya turned on him, a plasma bolt from her hidden sidearm searing through his shoulder and sending him crashing to the deck. As he struggled to rise, she loomed over him, her face twisted with cruel ambition. "Did you really think I was helping you out of the goodness of my heart?" she sneered. "The Ethereum's energy secrets are worth more than you can possibly imagine. With this data, I can build an empire of my own, one that will make the Dominion look like a bunch of bumbling children playing at conquest." She turned to Zara, who was watching the betrayal unfold with a mixture of horror and rage. "And you, my dear, are going to help me do it. Your power will be the cornerstone of my new order. But as Arya reached out to seize the Etherian girl, something inside Zara snapped. A blinding blue light erupted from her body, engulfing the ship's interior in a searing wave of energy. Liam and Arya were flung back like rag dolls as the deck buckled and twisted beneath them. When the light faded, Zara stood at the center of the maelstrom, her eyes blazing with an otherworldly fury. "You will not use me as a weapon," she declared, her voice ringing with a power that seemed to shake the very fabric of space itself. "I am not a tool to be exploited by anyone, not the Dominion, not you, not anyone." As Liam watched in awe, he saw the true depth of Zara's power revealed for the first time. She was more than just a living battery, she was a conduit for a primal force that could reshape reality itself. In that moment of revelation, the ship's comm system crackled to life, and the mocking voice of Captain Vortex filled the air. "You fools have no idea what you've unleashed," he laughed. The Etherians were once the masters of this galaxy, their empire spanning 1,000 worlds. But they grew weak and complacent, allowing themselves to be overthrown by their own creations, the Dominion. Vortex's face appeared on the viewscreen, his features twisted with a cruel, triumphant grin. "But now, with this girl's power at my command, I will finish what they started. I will resurrect the Etherian Empire, and rule over all of creation as its immortal God-King." Liam struggled to his feet, his wounded shoulder screaming in agony as he faced down the megalomaniacal alien warlord. "You're insane," he spat. "Zara isn't some pawn in your twisted game of galactic domination, she's a living being with free will." Vortex only laughed harder at that, a sound like metal scraping over bone. "Free will is an illusion, one we shall soon dispel." He directed his gaze at Zara with malicious grandeur. "You were made by your masters to serve, and so you shall serve again." But even as Vortex raised his personal control device, a black box adorned with eldritch runes, Arya stirred from where she had fallen, and fixed them both with maniacal eyes full of greed and cunning. "Fools," she hissed through bloody lips contorted into a rictus grin. "You have no vision at all. Her power will be mine to command. Along with yours when I destroy you." A chilling cacophony filled the wrecked ship, Vortex's arrogant laughter, Arya's strident demands for submission, Zara's anguished protests against servitude, all intertwined in a dissonant crescendo portending doom unimaginable should any attain their twisted desires. Their tug-of-war over Zara's power threatened to rip the very universe asunder, and only Liam understood the truth. She was not a weapon. Not a battery. Not a key, or a pawn, or a slave. But a person whose gifts could become a curse to all life if seized by those greedy to exploit their quintessence. Limping to Zara's side, all but forgotten by madmen lusting for cosmological supremacy, he gripped her hand in desperate entreaty, and in her eyes molten glow vowing defiant self-determination found welcome reflection. In their shared resolve was born a single, implacable imperative, one that would blaze across the stars like divine writ. Fight. The resistance. With the ship crippled and adrift, Liam and Zara had no choice but to abandon it, fleeing in a lifeboat mere moments before Vortex's battlecruiser unleashed a salvo of torpedoes that reduced their former refuge to molten slag. As they watched the wreckage fade into the void behind them, Liam felt a grim resolve settle over him like a mantle. "We can't keep running forever," he said as he keyed in a set of encrypted coordinates, a destination known only to a handful of trusted allies. "It's time we took the fight to the Dominion, and to anyone else who seeks to enslave and exploit." Zara nodded in agreement, her eyes still flickering with the embers of her unleashed power. "My people spent centuries hiding in fear, allowing ourselves to be used as tools by those who saw us as nothing more than means to an end." Her voice hardened with conviction. "No more." Their lifeboat punched through the swirling eddies of hyperspace, following a labyrinthian route meant to confuse any pursuers, before finally dropping back into real space at the edge of an uncharted star system. There, hidden within the maelstrom of a roiling nebula, they found what they were seeking, a hidden base of the resistance movement fighting against Dominion tyranny. As their lifeboat docked with the sprawling station, a ragtag assemblage of scavenged ships and jury-rigged habitats, they were greeted by a small contingent of rebels led by two figures who couldn't have been more different. The first was Rin, a grizzled Saurian warrior covered in battle scars whose reptilian eyes glinted with hardened purpose. The second was Soren, an Athelian data weaver whose lithe frame belied a staggering intellect capable of bending the datasphere to his indomitable will. "Welcome to the Argosa Nebula, the last bastion of freedom in a galaxy under siege," Rin rumbled through a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth as he clasped forearms with Liam in a warrior's greeting. "We've heard whispers of your exploits, how you snatched an Etherian right out from under Vortex's snout." Soren dipped his head in a graceful nod toward Zara, auburn braids glinting with woven circuitry. "Your courage in defying your would-be masters has already become legend among those who dream of liberation." As Liam and Zara were ushered into the heart of the station, a cavernous command center thrumming with activity, they couldn't help but marvel at the motley assortment of beings united in common cause. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Saurians, Athelians worked alongside Crithians and Zephyrians, all bound together by a shared hatred of Dominion oppression and an unwavering commitment to overthrowing their draconian rule. At the center of the Rebel War Council stood Teoma, an elder Crithian whose mottled green skin and curving cranial ridges spoke to a lifetime spent at the forefront of the fight. She fixed Liam and Zara with a piercing gaze as they were brought before her, eyes like black holes drawing them inexorably into the gravity well of the rebellion's greater purpose. "You have both endured much in your struggles against the Dominion," she said, her voice carrying the weight of worlds in its sonorous tones. "But now it is time to turn your pain into purpose, your loss into the unmaking of all those who seek dominion over the free peoples of this galaxy." With a wave of her hand, a shimmering star map sprang to life above the central hollow table, a spiderweb of pulsing nodes and interconnected lines representing Dominion strongholds and supply chains. At its center glowed an angry red icon, a planet that made Liam's blood run cold with recognition. "Cothless Prime," he breathed. "Vortex's throne world." Teoma nodded grimly. "The heart of the Dominion itself, and the key to unraveling its stranglehold on the galaxy. For too long we have nibbled at the edges of its power, bleeding ourselves in brushfire skirmishes while its roots remained untouched. No more." She fixed Liam and Zara with an iron stare, faith and fire intermingling in the depthless wells of her eyes. "With an Etherian standing openly among our ranks, we have a chance to strike at the very foundations of Dominion rule, to shatter the chains of servitude once and for all." Rin stepped forward, his taloned hands gripping the edge of the hollow table with grim anticipation. "Our spies have confirmed that Vortex is amassing a war fleet above Cothless Prime, a mustering of might not seen since the Dark Crusades." His predator's gaze swung towards Liam, gauging and approving in equal measure. "He intends to make an example of all who would defy him, by grinding the last embers of resistance into the ashes of infinity." Soren's quicksilver fingers danced across the glittering star map, plucking invisible strings of data as he coaxed forbidden secrets from the datasphere's labyrinthian depths. But in his arrogance, he has overextended, relied too heavily on the mythos of Dominion invincibility to cow the cowed. A fierce, feral smile split the hacker's aquiline features as he pulled up a schematic of Vortex's flagship, a behemoth of a dreadnought bristling with world-killing weaponry. At its heart pulsed an ominous scarlet sphere, a throbbing knot of hatred and hubris yearning to consume all that dared stand before its master's avarice unending. The maw of annihilation, a hyperscalar singularity engine hijacked from the Etherian's forbidden vaults and corrupted into obscene apotheosis of Vortex's dark intent. Soren's galaxy-pale eyes alight with an alchemist's ardor as a spiderwork of pulsing vulnerabilities sprang into focus through the ship's scintillant innards, a house of cards awaiting its singular tumbler owe their keystones unmaking. A single Etherian, an ascendant conduit, could pierce its shields and destabilize its core. Consigning Vortex and his brazen instruments of oppression into the black hole's roiling belly until the end of entropy's eon, Teoma intoned, her gaze resting on Zara with a terrible gravity promising transcendent purpose from immemorial pain. "But the cost will be high. To wield such cosmic forces, even for an instant, is to dance on the knife's edge of oblivion." An anguished urgency gripped Liam's heart at her words, a premonition of loss and loneliness too great to bear. But as he looked into Zara's eyes, twin novae of defiance and self-determination blazing free, he knew her choice was already made. She who had been shackled by would-be gods would now shatter godlings' chains forever for the dream of unshackled stars. He would walk that path beside her, even unto the gates of infinity, and pay any price to see her people's long twilight redeemed in the nova-fire dawn of liberation's most sacred charge. Point us to Cothless Prime, he said simply, fist to wounded shoulder and freedom salute. We have an appointment with destiny, and a despot's downfall to deliver. The sacrifice. The rebel fleet tore through the void like an avenging angel, a ragtag armada of mismatched ships and stolen Dominion vessels united in purpose and resolve. At the vanguard flew Liam and Zara in a heavily modified Phantom-class stealth frigate, its reflective hull shimmering with a cloaking field that bent light and sensor scans alike. As they drew closer to Cothless Prime, a looming sphere of obsidian and crimson dominating the star system's heart, Liam felt a growing sense of unease twist in his gut. The Dominion's defenses were formidable, a bristling gauntlet of orbital gun platforms, minefields, and drone swarms that promised annihilation to any who dared approach uninvited. But even more unsettling was the change he had seen in Zara as they prepared for this final, desperate gambit. Gone was the vulnerable girl he had rescued from that derelict ship what felt like a lifetime ago, replaced by a figure of incandescent purpose whose eyes burned with the fires of 1,000 suns. She had delved deep into the well of her people's forbidden lore, unlocking secrets of the Etherian ascendancy that had lain dormant within her genetic code. Now, as their ship hurtled towards the looming maw of Vortex's flagship, the maw of annihilation itself, Liam saw the toll that terrible knowledge had taken. Zara's skin crackled with barely contained energy, eldritch patterns of light and shadow dancing beneath her translucent flesh like captive stars yearning to be unleashed. Zara. He began, reaching out to her, only to flinch back as arcs of searing plasma scorched the air between them. She turned to him, her gaze a supernova of regret and resolve, and shook her head. No, Liam. We both know what must be done, and the price that must be paid. Before he could argue, a shudder ran through their ship as it penetrated the dreadnought's outer shields, its cloaking field shattering like glass before the behemoth's eldritch might. Alarms blared and warning runes flashed crimson across every console as the frigate was seized in a crushing tractor beam. Hull breach imminent, the ship's AI droned, its voice flatlining into terrified static. Dominion forces are boarding. Repel or prepare for Terminus Prototol. But Zara was already moving, a blur of quicksilver grace shedding the restraints of mortal flesh like a chrysalis giving way to the seraphim within. She slammed her open palms against the ship's deck, fingers splaying into luminous filaments that fused with the durasteel like roots sinking into fertile soil. Zara, no. Liam screamed, lunging towards her even as a cascade of explosions ripped through the frigate's superstructure. Bulkheads crumpled like parchment and emergency force fields flared into blinding existence as the void rushed in to claim them. But Zara was a collapsing star, an event horizon unto herself unleashing the unfettered might of her lineage in a coruscating nova blast that vaporized Dominion borders, disintegrated the tractor beams, and burned the dreadnought's shields to cinders. The maw of annihilation loomed before them like a ravenous god, an obscene violation of spacetime forged by stolen science in blasphemous arrogance. Its graviton vortex howled damnation, all light and hope drawn inexorably into its gnashing ingress. Now, Liam. Zara cried, her voice a clarion call of thunderous rapture transcending mortal comprehension. Her body was a sun-gone supernova, flesh and ship dissolving into impossible radiance as the unfettered god flame of Etherian ascension spilled forth in reality-cracking cataclysm. Quantum fire and soulstar plasma lashed out in searing, radiant ribbons, plunging into the maw's spinneret throats like avenging angels plummeting into hell's depths. Spacetime itself buckled around Zara's impossible crucible, her infinite immolation gnawing anti-god teeth of undreaming chaos from unreality's womb. The maw screamed, ego and animus sundered by cataclysm beyond reckoning as its umbral innards combusted in retorts of absolute annihilation. Impossible equations unraveled into shrieking acausality, their broken lattices lashing the dreadnought's hallowed form to juddering, spasming ribbons in paroxysm terminal. Vortex's scream, a keening, maddened Arya beyond furious and fear, was swallowed by the unmaking maelstrom. His reign of terror, a dark dream of dominion unending, snuffed like a candle at infinity's altar by goddess saints' unstinting sacrifice. Thus did Zara ascendant martyr rapturous and resplendent, rending yokes of yore with starfire Sejura speared through singularity's roaring heart. Ending to make all ending moot, deliverance beyond mortality's grasp at last, at last. Liam could only watch, tears of grief and glory lost to the hungry void as ship and shackle alike dissolved into quintessence unquantifiable. His heart, his very soul, felt torn asunder, yet even in oblivion's depths shone fierce, undying pride. For she who was star-forged and slavery-shackled danced now unfettered among shining forevermore. Unchained from ancient agonies, absolved of mortal dross, embraced by grateful galaxies as sister, as savior, as liberator luminous over all. Though Liam walked now in shadow, bereft of covalent moiety's anodyne hearth, still he marched within her glory's wake. The rebel host milled all around, their joyous exultations deafened by the void yet resounding in his innermost core. Through Zara's grace their shattered ships now shone with shield skins unnumbered, reborn from detritus death in novicious resplendency. Fractal arms of soulfire linked hand to hand, heart to heart, a webwork of luminaries lit by fusion's promise beheld as beauteous by all the universe entire. One cause, one creed, one covenant star-sealed and sacrosanct. Let all who dream of conquest unending look now upon this light and despair. For we who were slaves once now serve liberty alone, living and dying free, we few foreversmore. Thus did Liam, who loved an Etherian, stand amid the ashes of tyranny and the canticles of the unchained, a singular, stalwart soul singing silent paeans to the last and greatest to be liberated. His name was whispered as legend, his tale spun as gospel, the humble human who ignited an inferno in ascendancy's grieving heart to humble gods and raise up angels annealed in loss imperial kiln. And though night must surely follow day, still dawn's promise endured undimmed. That in some distant, undiscovered country shining, hope ever springs eternal for those who walk unfettered and unafraid. Among the stars.